Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Achille Genevieve Gnoahou. Welcome to our program called News from the Diaspora. Today I have with me Matilda and Karyne. They are both organizers of a big event that we had this year in the UK, and the event named Miss Africa UK. Hi Karyne.
Hi.
Hi Matilda.
Hello.
Karyne, can we have a little story about the beginning of Miss Africa UK? How did you get the inspiration?
Okay. Miss Africa UK is actually organized by African Women of Substance. We are a registered charity based in Wolverhampton, and we are created to empower and support African women and their families. And we thought about bringing up Miss Africa as an event because we thought it was time for the African girls and women to be equipped and educated, to be able to research, find out about their homelands and their ancestry. And we have a problem in the UK where a lot of girls have identity crises, where they leave Africa at home and UK in the schools or in the workplace. And a lot of the images that come out about Africa are usually the negative images, which mean that a lot of these girls would like to associate more with the UK or the British side of things rather than the African side. And so Miss Africa was created to get these girls to actually go out, find out about Africa, come out and represent it, say that I am African and I'm proud to be African.
When you talk about identity crisis, what do you mean? Can you give some example?
Well, I think because these girls are living a life like at home, they have the cultures, they have the African parents coming originally from Africa, bringing them up. When they go to school, they have to live the British culture, and sometimes that can be very confusing. And at school, you'd always have peer pressure. At workplace, you'd always have people living different cultures, which makes it difficult for them to actually say, this is who I am. So it's difficult for them to identify themselves, and so it's quite easy for them to relate with the side that they see more than the side that they don't.
So through this event, you want them to remain African through that multicultural place that they have at school.
Exactly, because this is their roots, and we need to bring out Africa in a positive light. That is one of the reasons why we say Miss Africa should be like an ambassador to actually bring out what Africa is all about.
Okay, when did you start that event? When was the first Miss Africa?
Miss Africa was started in 2009, and we've been running it for 4 years now. And so Miss Africa UK 2013 was the 4th year running.
Okay. Was the idea a new idea, or was it an existing idea that you just used again?
I think beauty pageants have always been from going back centuries. Beauty pageants have always been there. I think the difference with ours is Miss Africa UK is not your regular beauty pageant. For example, we don't have the swimwear category that many beauty pageants we would have, because we are actually there to bring dignity to a woman and to actually say beauty is from inside, not from outside. And the beauty that the African woman has inside her radiates to the outside, and that is what we are all about. And we are wanting to do it as beauty with purpose. So the girls should be able to be saying, I'm beautiful because I can impact my community, I can impact my environment, not that I'm beautiful genetically.
Okay, so the aim is to help those women, those girls, to recognize them as an African women, and also to impact on their community. In which way? To impact on the community in which way?
I think Miss Africa should be able to say these are the barriers that we as Africans are facing, or our community is facing, and these are the things that we want to do to remedy that, or we want to do to work on that.
So they will be the ambassador of the African culture. So let's come back to the event this year. How did it happen? How did you recruit the girls?
Well, we do quite a lot of publicity on the run up towards the Miss Africa. So we have flyers, leaflets, posters everywhere in all African restaurants, nightclubs, churches, everywhere where there's the African community. We have our website, Facebook, radio interviews, and you name it, word of mouth. We try as much as possible to cover UK wide.
So the girls have to come to you,
Yes.
to say they are candidate.
Yes.
How many candidates do you have this year?
We had 20 finalists.
Okay, so every year is it 20 finalists? Or?
Normally we always have 18 finalists,
Okay.
but this year we actually had 20 finalists.
How did it happen? Did it happen through a month or through many months, or is it a same day event?
No, it is actually, we start recruiting as early as 5 months before the event, and whilst we recruit, we set a date for auditions. The girls have to come in for auditions, and we have to choose who is going to be a finalist after the auditions. And after that, we have a whole process where the girls come for rehearsals. We have confidence building coaches coming in. We have model coaches. We have quite a lot of work that we work with the girls background before the day of the event.
Do you go to the cluster, the area, or do you do all the process here in Birmingham? How did it happen? The final happened in Birmingham.
Yes, the finals happened in Birmingham. The auditions were in Birmingham, and then we had another audition in Wolverhampton as well. And because we are growing, we're definitely going to be going to other cities in the next year to do auditions in other cities. But all the auditions were in Birmingham and Wolverhampton, and the rehearsals still in Wolverhampton, and the event itself was in Birmingham.
If somebody is, a lady is listen to us today, how old she has to be candidate of Miss Africa UK?
It's usually from 17 to 40 years old.
Wow. So how did you choose that interval of age? How did you choose it?
I think from about 17, a girl is big enough, mature enough to say that, to be able to know who she is and be able to represent and do the work or have the responsibilities that Miss Africa should have. And we take it up to 40, which is different from other beauty pageants, because we are not looking at the age, we are looking at what the girl has to give, what the woman has inside her to offer. That's what we are looking at.
So how do they have to be physically? I know you talk about inner beauty, but how do they have to look physically fit, slim, or
Yes, we definitely would want to look for girls who who are presentable and they're confident within themselves of how beautiful they are. Definitely we look at that as well.
Okay,
So
let's
it's
talk about
round up the overall beauty of the girl.
Okay, let's talk about the candidate this year. You say you have 20 candidates,
Yes.
and they have to come to you themselves.
Yes.
So Africa is composed of 54 countries.
Yes.
Do you have representation from each country, or how do?
I think if we had to have, let's say 54 contestants, that would be too much. And so what we try to focus is in the different regions. So we have Africans from North, East, South, and West and Central Africa. That is what we try and make sure that we cover.
Okay, so how do you nominate the candidate? Is it like once or like many times, or the event has to happen only the same day?
The day.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, we have auditions about 5 months before the event, and we actually choose those girls who are saying, I'm proud of my heritage. I can actually stand out and say, this is who I am. I'm confident about who I am. I'm confident about my roots, and I'm able to say that out. And, that's for the auditions. So we take them through a process, and we can actually disqualify some of them from going on to the final day. So we take that through to the final.
Well, let's talk about the day event now, the final day. What do do we see? What do they say about like a positive thing about the country? How? Is it a speech? Is it a talk? Is it a story they share?
I think the highlights of our event is the Parade of Nations, and with the Parade of Nations, it's actually based around the vision, one of the visions for Miss Africa, which is to change the way the world sees Africa and Africans. So the girls have to come out, talk about their countries, talk about what is beautiful about their country, their culture, the people, the food, everything that is nice about Africa. That is when the girls have to come out and
does it have to be their own creativity or something that exists already in the country?
I think it should be what exists in the country, because they have to go out and research their countries. They have 2 minutes actually each to talk about their country, so they have to bring it down to exactly what they want people to know about their country.
You can have some candidates who were born in the UK, never been to Africa. So do you think those girls will be excluded because they don't know anything about the country?
Yes, because they wouldn't actually go through to the finalists if they weren't ready to embrace their roots and to say, look, I want to know more about my roots and I want to let people know more about my roots. So they wouldn't even go right to the finals if they weren't able to do that.
Okay. Now with Matilda, you helped Karyne to organize the event. What type of challenges did you have this year?
The challenges are more about sponsors or sponsorship. The fact that we moved from Wolverhampton to Birmingham was already a big challenge as far as Miss Africa UK is concerned. Basically, we are a charity based in Wolverhampton, and we usually get all the support from the people in Wolverhampton and its surrounding. But this time, because we are in Birmingham, it's so difficult for people in Wolverhampton to sponsor event in Birmingham, because Birmingham is not their market. It's only in Wolverhampton. I mean, in Wolverhampton, it was quite easy because we are a charity based there. The council was there to give us the support. We have agency like Flame Lily, Midlands Lawyers, and some other individuals who will come in to support. But the time we moved to Birmingham, it was all a different ball game. We have to start looking for sponsors in Birmingham. And the fact that we ourselves lives in Wolverhampton is also a difficult situation here, because we have to start coming to Birmingham every day, looking for people who are interested in things like that, people who want to market their product to other people, because we do have a platform whereby people can actually market their product or their goods. And because of this, it's always very difficult to get it. I mean, it's really been a tough one to get sponsors from Birmingham. But because it's the second time we are in Birmingham, it is also proving very popular this time. So those challenges, they're all gone, I would say, because now people in Birmingham are getting much more interested in the event and they're coming on board. And immediately after the event, we've had so many interests now that people are phoning to say, I want to be part of this event. I want this event to go bigger and bigger and better and better. So more people are coming to support, and I think we are already overcoming those challenges.
I thought it was a national event because it's UK, Miss Africa UK.
Yes.
So,
Miss Africa UK is, I mean, we were Miss Africa West Midlands before, and now we are Miss Africa UK. The reason we rebranded it to Miss Africa UK is because in the past we've been having contestants from all parts of UK. So there was no point limiting ourselves to just the Midlands. So we decided to widen our search, and that's when we came up with the name Miss Africa UK. and to make this event known to everybody in the UK. This year, we are hoping on getting putting representative in all the bigger cities in the UK in order to promote, look for sponsors, and help in organizing or recruiting some of the contestants.
So the sponsor should consider the event as a national event.
Yes.
So why do you have problem on that level with having sponsored in Birmingham and sponsored in Wolverhampton?
Like I said, everybody has got their own area of market or interest, and you wouldn't expect Wolverhampton Council to come and sponsor a project in Birmingham. I mean, Birmingham is a very big city. When we were in Wolverhampton with Miss Africa West Midlands, Birmingham did give us the support to advertise the event, but that is not enough. We expect more than that, because this is a community event that everybody is involved in. So they should be able to give us more support, either morally or financially.
Okay, then. And now I think we have to welcome our queens of Miss Africa UK 2013.
My name is Anne. I'm from Kenya because I'm a fun-loving person. I'm passionate about Africans. I'd like to be the voice of Africa across the world. Yes, I'm an African woman.
The first queen, I think, Fatou from Gambia.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Fatou Kinneh and I'm representing Gambia. I want to show the community what us Africans can bring, and I don't break my promises.
And yes, I'm an African woman.
And the second princess is
Monaliza
from
Zimbabwe.
Hi everyone, my name is Monaliza Sibanda. I am from Zimbabwe. The honor of representing the voice of the unspoken and broadening the minds of those who are not aware of the values of being a true African. Yes, I am an African woman.
So I'm going to talk to the queen, Anne from
Kenya.
Yeah. Anne, how did you hear about the event?
Very interesting, as Karyne said. You know, they advertise all over, including clubs. I was one of those in the club. And yeah, somebody approached me very nicely with a leaflet, and I presume they thought I was worth entering the competition. So I thought, wow, okay, you know, I consulted with my friends who were with me at the time, and they were like, yeah, go for it. So the following day, you know, I was just idling about, and I thought, I might as well give it a try. So rang up, and I got through to Matilda, and we had a brief discussion, and the competition was on. It was legit, and I thought, right, okay, I want to go for this. And then the process started there. She sent me an application form. I filled that in, and yeah, so I was invited to the auditions, and here I am today.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So, your friend encouraged you then, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Were you confident yourself before you got the...
I think because of the environment in which I got it. I got the application, not application, but rather the invite, you know, the flyer. It was more like, really? Shall I? And they were like, yeah. Inwardly, I knew I would. But then, you know, sometimes when you just think, this is so, you know, offbeat. So, yeah, I think I knew I could get into it. So I was confident enough that I could do it. It just seemed at the time like so bizarre. Like, who approaches you, you know, in that style? So, yeah, it was good.
Was it your first participation?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Wow.
It was.
Good.
Yeah.
So from now, what did you do that day? Like the aim. What did you present to the public as a good side of Kenya? Was it? How did you come out with the idea? Have you been to Kenya before? Were you born in Kenya?
I was actually born and raised in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, a very big part of my life is has been there. So I quite relate very well to home. What I actually presented about not only Kenya was Africa in general. I just thought this is an African event, and Africa, we're one. And I was like, I want to bring out the whole perception about Africa in general for people, because to me, I look at Kenya as like any other African country. So I presented a poem which talked about Africa in general, broke it down to the African man, the roles of the African woman, and then spoke about our African children, and then just sort of summarized it with a little word of encouragement for people to give Africa a chance, because I think Africa deserves a chance.
Okay. So, what after your talk, how confident were you that people will pick up something from what you said that day?
It felt amazing. It was a poem that I wrote myself, and being an African woman who's grown up both in Africa and over here, I felt like I put so much emotion and attachment to this poem. I felt that I could actually relate to so much of what the average African girl or African child goes through here. And for me, this event being African, majority of the people that came to the event, I knew for a fact would relate to that, because they really so much associate to where we are from. Also, it was more of an educative material. Even for those who did not come from that part of Africa, definitely came out of it having learned something about it. So I felt it was quite beneficial.
Okay, so now you are the queen.
Yeah.
What will you change in your role? What will be the aim of your role like? What are you going to change? What are you going to do with that role?
Yeah, I want to do the best I can. To begin with, I want to identify areas where there's a gap. And if I could play a part in filling that gap, that would be really, really more of a dream come true for me. I want to work with the community. I want to identify areas of growth and research. If there's any areas that I could help or I could come in and make a difference, those are the kind of things that I'm looking to aim for. I also want to bridge that stereotypic idea of, oh, Africans are like this, Africa is not that great. You know, when people hear about Africa, they kind of tend to sway more on the negative side. Even when
what kind of negativity have you already heard?
People think of Africa, they think of, Africa generally being poor. They think of Africa generally being with kids who are uneducated. I mean, even in the media, what we see today, you see adverts about kids that are malnourished. You see adverts about families that are just about getting by, if at all. And I want people to realize that, Africa is coming up. And I want them to realize that Africa will one day overcome its problems. And it's not about the problems that we have that actually should make us feel embarrassed about coming from Africa, but we should really embrace our problems and try and make a difference, influence our societies to try and bring back something home. It doesn't have to be financially, even with ideas, even with suggestions, that could make a difference.
Okay, you said something at the beginning that made me laugh, like you heard about Miss Africa in the nightclub. When I look back home in Africa, girls don't, I can't say they don't, but there are limited numbers of girls in the nightclub. But you were in the nightclub and you want to say something.
I think, education is not all about classroom education. I think social education is also quite good. You can go to school and, hold the finest of degrees and stuff. But if you can't relate with people on a social level, then clearly you can't mix with the crowds. So for me, a social aspect of life is just as good a balance as your educational aspect.
Yeah. Now, I imagine that your age is between 17 and 40.
Yeah.
Okay. When I see you, I know you're 40 yet. No, that's clear. But imagine that in 20 years' time, or 20 or 30 years' time, how beautiful will you be?
I think black don't crack, if you ask me. I know. I think I'll still be as good, you know. And I'm determined that I will still turn heads even in 60 years' time if I'm still here. So, we know they say in Africa, an African woman will age in her little garden trying to plant seeds or whatever it is to feed her family. Yeah, that's the kind of genes that we are.
Okay. Are you planning to have a family life?
Yeah, maybe one day if I met the right person.
Okay.
Definitely, it's not something that I would shun upon. Never say never, but it would be nice. Yes.
Okay, and I have kids and raise kids too.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah.
Okay. Because back home it's like this is only what women do, and I know that Africa has a beautiful side and also the bad side because we have a gender problem in Africa, and this is the reality. And women have a lot of children and they are less educated and everything depends on the man. So when they come here too, it's true that there is a clash of culture, but there is also the fact that they found freedom here to be who they want to be. And that freedom may be like they don't want to do some other thing that we do in Africa. But the society there focus more on a woman should have children, a woman should marry, a woman should be this and that. So in your own mind, what would you keep from Africa today, and what will you change in the UK society as an African lady?
What I would keep from Africa is definitely the culture. I really embrace that because I think we're very rich in our culture. I think always remembering where you come from is very important. It helps shape who you are today. And I think my upbringing has sort of helped shape the person that I am today. That's one thing that I really appreciate and would like to keep for the rest of my life. On the flip side, today you find that a lot of women tend to be more career orientated. So they kind of end up having kids a little bit late because they want to see the education pay off in terms of earning a good career, and then from there, once they feel settled, then have kids. Personally, I believe if I was to look at it in terms of today, women tend to have kids a lot later purely because of the reasons that I've just mentioned. But at the same time, it's something that should happen when you feel that you're in that place in life for it to happen, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're actually maybe running before you can walk. So it's always best to just follow your heart. If you feel that's the best time for you, then fair enough. You know, by all means, it's right to do. You shouldn't let the society dictate what you feel is right, because it's only you that will live that life, not the society.
Can I just chip into that as well? One of the things that we do on the night of Miss Africa is the African Women Achievers Awards, and the African Women Achievers Awards is actually created to recognize what African women are doing in their communities and in their surroundings, and to help them to act as role models to other African women who are facing barriers that these women have faced before, to actually say, you know what, I can actually do this. So with that, we also try to sort out some of those gender issues that we as Africans we faced in the past. I would say in the past because we're now in the UK. The women in Africa are still struggling with issues like that, and that is one of the platforms that our African queens are going to definitely be looking at how to tackle that. And in the run through onto the event, we also had them do a video about the barriers that the African woman faced. It's on YouTube and it's called An African Woman. It talks about the barriers, the rape, the genital mutilation, the circumcision, breast ironing, forced marriages, early marriages, all those issues that African women face. But it also talks about the strength of the African woman, the things that she brings out as well to society.
But the women face those things in Africa, not here in the UK.
We do have that here in the UK. Domestic violence is always a big thing. Yeah. It's still something that we are working on, and I think as the UK government as well is helping to work on that. It's something that is both in Africa, it's both here. Things like circumcision really reducing, because women here have now gotten that education that, well, they shouldn't actually be doing that to their children. But in Africa, maybe it's still a bit more. So, we actually face those problems both here and in Africa. But here, I think we have that freedom to be able to sort some of those problems ourselves, and also impact back in our communities in Africa.
Thank you. So, Anne, yes. On the day you had two of your princesses here with you, what do you think made you win rather than one of them?
I think they're both. I think no matter how you look at it, they're still winners in my eyes. I think we worked well together. We encouraged each other, and no matter how you look at it, to me, they're winners.
So it was a competition, but a competition for the same goal, which is promoting Africa abroad. Mm-hmm. So there were really not that competition, but you were one in the same goal. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I think basically we all got in it with one aim, and I think the aim of it was to be representatives of Africa. And all the girls there are so proud of their heritage. They all got in it to represent Africa. So to me, anyone that actually gets into whatever you want to call it, a competition, or it could be even if it's a job that represents something, if you get it and that's where your heart wants to be and that's what you represent, you're a winner.
Okay. Thank you, Han. Now I'm going to talk to the first princess, who is Fatou from Gambia.
Yeah.
Hi, Fatou.
Hi.
Yes, the same question like Han. How do you hear about the event, and how come you were confident to be candidate?
My auntie told me about it, and then she signed me up for it before she told me. And then, yeah. And then I was like, I'm not sure. I didn't want it to do it at first. Then she took me out of it. But then everyone else started talking, and I think about it, and it's something that I wanted to do. It's just that I was shy. I was thinking about the crowd and everything. But then I changed my mind and I entered.
You answered, okay. So what will you change with your role?
With my role?
Yes. What will you do concretely with your role?
In Africa?
The aim, here in the UK, or I don't know.
Oh, I would like to encourage every African woman, a lot of them, to know that, to be proud of being Africans, because all in here, what you normally hear about Africa, we're poor, this and this, they laugh and stuff. We're Africans and we're proud. We have a lot to offer than anywhere you go in this world. We have a culture which is like the most beautiful thing we have. And we have a lot more things. And I want all of them to be proud of being Africans, because we're the most beautiful people.
So Fatou, what do you think you are going to work on? What will be your sector of activity as a first princess?
Modeling. I want to start. I want to have a small modeling agency to help young people, young African or anyone, to enter and teach them about modeling and help them achieve their dreams, young kids and stuff, and give them the chance and give them more confidence of doing what they want to do in life.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to talk to Monaliza. Yes, she's from Zimbabwe. Were you born and raised in Zimbabwe?
I was born, in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And then I came to the UK when I was about 10.
Okay.
But still from 10, I was still being raised here. So I was raised in both places, I'd say. So,
okay. So what do you remember today from Zimbabwe?
What do I remember?
Yeah.
Family meals. I remember just at night, just when you're having dinner and you're with your family and everyone is just throwing jokes and you're laughing so much, and just that harmony that you have at home just before you go to sleep and you say a prayer, and just that's the strongest thing that I remember.
Okay. Was it what you talk about the day of the competition?
No.
What did you present as the beautiful sides of Zimbabwe?
Okay, I spoke about, in my language we call it Ubuntu, which is something that is like respect, self-respect. As an African, this is something that is there I would say, in every country in Africa. Ubuntu is like,
which language is
Ubuntu? Of togetherness. Ubuntu, that's Ndebele.
Okay.
Ndebele. Zulu?
Yeah.
Another. It's like a sense of togetherness. You know how you would normally, us at home, if there's a time when we don't have sugar, you go next door and you're like, I need some sugar, and they would feel so free about just helping out. That sense of togetherness, that sense of helping each other, that sense of African women coming together, holding hands and making us, together and bringing the best out of who we are. That is what I spoke about, because it's a strong point.
Do you know your neighbors in the UK?
In the UK, yes, I do.
Do you know your neighbors?
I do.
Will you still knock the door to ask something like you do in Africa?
No. Well, I haven't done that yet, but I am comfortable to do that with them.
Good.
I'm very comfortable to do that with them, because when I came here to the UK, there's things that are sort of in your blood. That spirit of being so nice to everyone. You see people, and I'm that type of person who'd be like, hey everyone, and I don't care if you're black, if you're white, if you're Indian, whatever you are. I would just be like, oh, hey girl, let's, I'm really social. So when we got home, when we moved into the UK, I made sure I go to my neighbour's house and say, knock, 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 you have a new neighbour. I made sure that, obviously, if you're going to be someone's neighbour, you don't want to be not talking to them. Do you know what I mean? You have to be social. For you to reach out into the world, into anywhere, you should be able to be comfortable enough to speak to whoever's next to you, because that is where you start. You start with
the barrier about talking to your neighbor or going to your neighbor to ask something, is it at your same personal level, or is it at the level of cultural things in the UK? Where is the problem for you?
For me, actually, it's on both personally and culturally. Because I believe that from where you come from, you would, if you're lost or something, you just ask anyone. For you to have that confidence to even speak to someone you don't know and say, oh, excuse me, do you know where I'm going? That's enough. That's all you need for you to be able to speak to your neighbour. Besides, this is someone that you see every day. You're coming in and out of home. You see them every day. There's bound to be a time when you're like, oh, hi. and they're like hi, and that's where you start.
But do you think that in Africa, people can give you something because they know that they can't have everything too? Like if I don't have some...
People in Africa will help because they know they will need your help at some
Exactly.
time.
So it's like a mutual help.
Yeah.
I help you because I know that I will knock your door too.
Yeah.
But here in the UK, it's a different culture. People have everything and they plan things in advance. So this is a different side of the two cultures. So now, when you heard about the Miss Africa, how confident were you?
Oh my God. I was like, Miss Africa, I'm not doing that. You know, like, I was a bit, first of all, I just didn't understand why someone would approach me and think to me that, you know, I'm worth such an event and believe in me so much, because to be quite honest with you, I never believed in myself that much. As much as I'm very, you know, I'm very nice, I'm very like, hey, and so, you know, I'm confident to speak to anyone and to be myself. But behind closed doors, really, I didn't think that someone would approach me and think, oh, that girl is worth being in that sort of event. I never ever believed that.
So who empowered you then? Friend and family?
Yeah.
Close friend?
Yeah.
So now, after Miss Africa, you know that you are beautiful today, you are confident. The competition helped you to reach that level.
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah. We had confidence building
before
the event. Okay. We had classes, we had people teaching us to model. We had choreographers teaching us for we had an opening act and we had to like get our groove on and stuff like that. We had choreographers to help because obviously not everyone who entered is a dancer. Not everyone who entered is a model. Not everyone who entered feels beautiful. Not everyone who entered thought they could do something like that. So you are guided from the start. From the interview, you are guided and you are advised and you are groomed. By the time you get to the event, you should know that even if you win or you don't win, you are still a queen. Because you have learned so much. It's more like chase the dream and not the competition. Because the things that you learn, I learned so much, a lot more during the time just before the event. I learned a lot more than that, than the actual day. You know, the actual day was, to me, in my head, I'm thinking, do you know what, this day, for me, it's not a competition anymore. I'm celebrating who I am. I'm celebrating what I do and where I'm from, and I'm very proud of it. So
in one word, what did you get from taking part of the competition?
What did I get?
Word, yeah.
In one word.
Confidence building?
In one. A lot more than confidence.
Like what? Sorry.
So it was. I've got 2 words.
Okay, yeah, go on.
African queen.
African queen.
That's what I felt like.
Thank you. And Anne, conclusion, what did you get from this competition?
Oh, long life friends. I will not forget the girls. It was a great journey. It was amazing, and I've met some amazing people and friends for life.
Thank you. And you, Fatou?
I made new friends and I met the funniest people ever. They're so funny and they're fun. You just have to love them.
A little fun there. Okay, thank you. You don't want to talk about the award, what you get like a prize for that competition? It's like,
Yes, the first prize, Anne, she actually gets a prize worth £3,500.
Okay.
She has a cash prize, has a top feature in a top African magazine. She has her own personal website. She also has a professional makeover with hairstylist and a professional photo shoot and a beautiful portfolio for herself to go on, and not forgetting the crown and the sash, which she would have for life. I think being the first Miss Africa UK, I think one of the things that we say is it shouldn't be 2014 it's not going to be the end of the road. It's going to be actually her helping the other new contestants in their own journeys.
Okay, what about the first queen?
Fatou, she has her price is worth £1,500, and she also has her cash prize, a full makeover, photo shoot, professionally bound portfolio of her pictures, a goodie bag from the Miss Africa team, and also a hamper from our sponsors. I forgot that one. And also, I forgot to say that they would be able to work and fundraise to go and promote our projects in Africa, which is sponsor a child in their own home. So yes, that's what they win, and her sash, which she would have for life as well. And yes,
and Monaliza?
Monaliza the third, her price is worth £500, and she has her full professional makeover and her photo shoots, her hamper, the goodie bags, and the sash.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm happy to have you, and I'm proud of everything you do for Africa, not only for Africa, but for women too. Because, like you know, I'm from Africa, raised in Africa, and I know that a lot of women, have gender issues, and this is why she's talking about not being confident, and I know what it is, because if you have everything and you depend on the other gender, you can't really move on. So I'm really proud of what you do, and congratulations to the Queen and to the organizer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.